anytime you're ready.
Morning T09, I'm JinHao, and with me are my group mates, Enstein and Syad. Today, we're presenting to you the issue of mental illnesses among youth in Singapore, its impacts, as well as our evaluation of the current solutions. Now, before we carry on, can I get everyone to do a small favor for me? Please take out your phones and record down this number as shown on the screen above. Don't ask me why, just do it for now. We'll explain at the end of our presentation. I'll give you about 10 seconds to do so, and then we'll carry on with the rest of our presentation, okay? Okay, today we'll be touching on two medical numbers, 25 and 20. Now, you might question, what is the relevance of these two numbers when we're talking about mental health issues? 25 refers to the percentage of Singaporean youth who currently have mental health illnesses. This means that in the class of 15 of you, there's approximately 4 of you who will end up having mental health illnesses. Now, for the number 20, it refers to the percentage of youth who have mental health illnesses who end up committing suicide. This means that out of the 4 of you who have mental health illnesses, there's a possibility that 1 of you might end up committing suicide. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. Let that sink in. Now, you might question, what's with all these facts and figures? It's not going to happen to me. This is just stress related. I'm confident of myself. I'm confident of my own mental psyche. I will never experience any form of mental illness at all. And guess what? You're right. I agree with you. But what happens when the confident you, the relatively stress-free you, and the happy-go-lucky you get some form of mental illness? What do you do then? Now, I'd like to share with you my own personal experience. I like to describe myself as a happy-go-lucky person, and I never thought I would get any form of mental illnesses. As for the guys, you can see on the screen above, this is actually what they call an in-camp photo. It's illegal, it's not allowed to be taken in the army, and please don't report me to the military police. I'll get charged and I'll get thrown into detention barracks. And yeah, just pardon my sad looking face because yeah, I just finished the exercise, I was really, very tired. And but never pass an opportunity to take a photo like this, right? You never know when it's your last photo. Okay, but all jokes aside, I was feeling this bout of depression when I was halfway through in my sergeant course during army. I felt there were many challenges that I couldn't go through at a point in time to fulfill the criteria to pass out as a sergeant. I remember myself getting increasingly moodier, and I wouldn't talk to my friends, my family, or my course instructors at all. I saw a change in my habits, my appetite decreased, and I didn't feel like talking to anyone. And to be honest, what went on in my head at that point in time was that I felt like I was screaming so loudly and so hard, and just that nobody could understand why I was shouting, what I was shouting, or that I was shouting in the first place. I felt really scared and really alone at that point in time. But luckily for me, I did not receive any form of stigmatization, and my family, my friends, and my course instructors helped me to get through the course, and I successfully passed out as a third sergeant. Now, I was lucky enough to not get stigmatized, but understand this, many of us who have mental illnesses often end up getting stigmatized in the long run. This is extremely bad for all of us because the mental illnesses and the stigma that they receive, they end up carrying this for the rest of their lives. So why then is stigmatization so important? I'll now pass on the time to Syad, who will explain to you the impacts of stigmatization and why we shouldn't stigmatize youth with mental illnesses. Syad, please.
Alright, could I please request those with the tags near them to actually put them on and do me a favor? Thank you very much. That's 4 in total. Yep. Maybe thank you. Alright, let me just direct your attention to the words on the screen over here. Just take a second and think about these words. Do these words represent anything positive? Would you like to be associated with these words? This, my friends, is the prime example of stigmatization, a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance. And of course, stigma does not only come in the form of words or disparaging remarks. It can also come in the form of our non-verbal expressions and also our actions. For instance, when we start to physically distance ourselves from those whom we think are mentally ill. And why is this an issue then? First, let me just highlight the severity of depression. Depression, if left untreated, can actually lead to several other more serious mental health diseases, such as the ones you see on the screen over here. Scary, isn't it? To think that something that's often brushed off as a trivial condition, depression can actually lead to more serious mental health issues. So why is stigma an issue then? Well, believe it or not, more than 5 in 10 are actually not willing to reside with or work with someone with a mental health condition. This means that these people feel the need to physically distance themselves from those who are mentally ill, possibly due to the fear of being attacked or disturbed by them. As a result, those who are mentally ill feel the need to physically distance themselves as well, and this leads to them isolating and also withdrawing themselves from society. And this could actually be a huge hindrance to the recovery process. This brings me to my next point on self-stigma. So when these people start to internalize the thoughts, the discriminations, and also the devaluations associated with their condition, they'll then start to think about the words that are thrown at them, the labels. And as a result, this leads to them having a lower self-esteem. They must then start to question themselves, why should they even try so hard to break out of the barriers and also to try and recover? And as a result, this is actually a perpetual cycle that repeats in itself. The third point that I'll be touching is on the disadvantages in the labour market. So an example of this is when those who are mentally ill will actually feel reluctant to indicate the mental health conditions on the job applications. And this is further compounded by the fact that even recruitment agencies themselves would advise those who are mentally ill not to declare for the fear of losing out on interviews. Another appalling case study is when Ms. Hafiza, who is diagnosed with schizophrenia, was outrightly rejected a job just because she had declared her mental health condition. And as a result, even job recruitment agencies, they would actually advise those with mental health conditions not to declare them. So is this not unfair, guys? Right now, I've discussed about the impacts of stigmatization, and I'll pass on my time to Enstein to discuss more.
Thank you, Syad. However, before I begin, for those with the text, could I trouble you to actually keep it on before I would like to continue? Okay, thank you. So, Syad has actually established that stigmatization of mental health sufferers is indeed a very serious problem. However, it will remain a problem continuously if we do not act upon it. Thus, I would like to examine the various initiatives that our government organizations, as well as non-governmental organizations, has actually collaborated with several healthcare institutions to actually kickstart all these stigmatization campaigns. I'll touch on 3 in particular. Firstly, is the Silver Ribbon campaign that is actually started in 2006 and has been enforced ever since. So, for the Silver Ribbon campaign, its aims is to educate members of the public on the dangers of stigmatization towards mental health sufferers. It also encourages early help for those who are suspect of suffering from mental health illnesses as well. Secondly, is the Beyond the Label campaign, which, as the name suggests, aims to eradicate the stigmatization that is associated with mental health as well. Beyond that, it has also included tips on how to help those who are suffering from mental health illnesses. Lastly, is the recently concluded Singapore Mental Health Film Festival that incorporates films, panel discussions, as well as workshops to educate the public, as well as to let them understand the complexities of mental health illnesses as well. And as such, through these campaigns, we have also gained the knowledge that we are able to talk to somebody we trust, seek professional help, as well as to taking care of our own personal well-being. However, in our survey, it's a good thing that we actually have 2 in 3 individuals that are aware of such campaigns. However, more jarringly is that 80% of our survey respondents are unaware of the specific methods in which we can help those in need. Therefore, it has highlighted that our current initiatives do have some deficiencies, and it's actually illustrated in these 2 points that are shown above. Firstly, it is indeed vague as well as unrelatable, as students has actually highlighted that they are not aware on how to help specifically. And this has shown that all these initiatives have not actively engaged with the student population. Remember this number that JinHao has troubled all of you all to take it down? That's right. This number is actually an NUS counseling hotline that is available for all full-time NUS students. It is staffed by a trained counselor who is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thus, these solutions has actually been all around us all the time. Therefore, I have just proven that the solutions do not require extensive amount of money, time, as well as excuses. Therefore, it is important that we take the first step, considering that journey will only begin when we take a single step forward, just like how Rome wasn't built in a day. And with that, I've enabled those who are suffering from stigmatization to break free from the chains. And for those who are here, I've also enabled you to help those who are in need, as well as yourself, with just a simple phone number. And also, I hope that you all be encouraged to actively participate in the various campaigns that I've actually highlighted in order to actively know and seek and to understand the problems of mental health. And with that, our group would like to thank you for your time. Thank you.
You haven't ended. You need to carry on. Ask about the Q&A.
Alright. So, do you all have any questions that you'd like to put forth to our group?
Why do you think that we, the people in this class, would need a lifeline help by NUS?
Firstly, I feel that...
Sorry, isn't it a little bit insulting to assume that we may all need help?
Firstly, I feel that not only is the possibility of ourselves getting mental health illnesses is high, there's also that chance of even our friends or family members. And I feel that, a number that as uni students ourselves, most of us are not aware that, the UHC even has this helpline in the first place. So by actually putting forth this number out there, by getting you guys to actually take down the numbers, we will empower you guys to be agents of change and also help your fellow friends, not just yourselves.
Also to add on, this number doesn't mean that you have to approach it when you suspect that you are suffering from mental health illnesses. So in a sense, this number actually provides you with an avenue to just to speak to somebody that you need to actually understand some of the troubles. Because we always believe that prevention is always better than cure. So if you are able to take the first step to actually, like what we established earlier, is to take care of your own well-being. Okay, it's important that we try and source out this kind of avenues so that we can first take the first step to understand our problems and to get somebody to help us when we are in need as well.
In addition, I think most of us, even though we might know the number, we might know there's these facilities, we might be too shy to talk about it, and we might be too embarrassed to go and approach the counsellors in the UHC for help and actually say, hey, I have this problem, I need help from it. Because we are often so stigmatized from these kind of issues. When we walk around, we see people who are behaving abnormally with mental health issues, we tend to think like, they're crazy, there's no hope for them. And that's not what the message we're trying to prove here. We're trying to show that this is a curable disease. It's something that it can be treated in the long run if we all just play our part. And if the person himself, of course, takes active treatment. We're just trying to break the barriers and make sure that the person himself takes the first step.
The rest of you, please ask questions.
Hey, why would you think that students who might feel that they have mental health illness will actually go and call this helpline? What would push them to do it? Because some of them may not want to admit to themselves.
Okay, so like I said, the first step is self-awareness. You must admit that you have this problem with yourself before anybody else can help you. If you keep mum about it, nobody can help you about it. At least when we are providing this number right now, you all will know there's this problem, there's this number for you to call. And besides, we are all uni students. I don't think everyone has the money to go and see a high-class psychiatrist to go and talk about your mental health issues. This is a toll-free number. This is something that you can approach. It's covered by the university as long as you're studying at university. So it's after all, it's a better approach as compared to throwing money at psychiatrists. Yeah.
What if you aren't even aware of you're having like mental illness? Like you're not aware of it. Or like you might be aware but you refuse to admit.
Sorry, you meant refuse to admit. Oh,
Or
okay.
like you don't even know about it.
I think sometimes there are certain telltale signs. Sometimes you may not feel it, but maybe your behavior show it, and you can actually tell how based on people's reactions. So maybe you start to feel a bit like your self-esteem drop. You start to feel like why are people treating me differently? But I feel that I'm normal, but there's a chance that I'm not. So I guess like what JinHao mentioned, we have to take the first step and actually maybe like what Asa mentioned as well. Sometimes when we call, it's not only because we feel that we have the issue, but also just to talk to it about someone who is a professional. You can consult them and ask them further on whether they do indeed have this mental health illness.
Yeah, just to add on to JinHao's point regarding Ziyun. So you say that what will compel people to actually step forward? Yeah, compel people to step forward. I feel that this number is not directed at the individuals who are suffering themselves, but also the friends. I mean, if let's say the person is more withdrawn, like what Syad has actually mentioned, or not willing to actually share their own personal problems, but is very visibly unhappy, just very quiet. So in a sense, as a friend with that number, you say that, okay, fine, if you don't want to talk to me, I understand, but if you want somebody to talk to, maybe you can try and call this number. So like I said, it's in the presentation, it's always the individual that can make the step forward, or whether you're a friend. So regardless of whichever group you are still capable of helping somebody. And regards to Sharon's point, I hope that answered the question as well.
Just touching on a bit on both their points. Yeah, I mean, of course, the individual is a step out, but you as a friend, you as a family member, you can of course identify, because that's what we're trying to empower you all in doing from this presentation. We're trying to empower you all in trying to see like the signs, the symptoms, what people go through when they have this form of mental illnesses. So maybe instead of them approaching you, why not you take the first step and approach them? Yeah.
Thank you very much.